not sure why the recording quit after a while, so here I am a few days later recording the second part of this. So we said that x1, y1 is any point. You guys know how to find the slope of a line. You should by now. But if I cross multiply this and I cross multiply this, I end up with the point slope form of the line. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. This I want you to circle, star, box, whatever. You must memorize this immediately, like right now. Like pause this video, write this out a few times. You need to know this for all time. The change in y is equal to the slope times the change in x. You will use this like 96.7% of the time. That is an estimated figure, but you get the idea. You're going to use it a lot. So let's do an example of this, of when you're going to use this. And I kind of emphasize this. You will use this a lot. So here's one. Given a slope of -1/2 and a point of 1, -4. So there's an ordered pair of 1, -4 and a slope of -1/2. Find an equation. Now when I say find an equation, I haven't said what form it's in. So right now we just want an equation of some type. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that point slope form of y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1, and I'm going to do a substitution. When I see the m, I'm going to replace that with the -1/2. When I see the x1, I'm going to replace that with this 1 right here. And when I see the y1, I'm going to replace that with a -4. And I'm putting that in parentheses because that's a negative, and I have to be careful about distributing the negative. Okay, so that is an equation. That would work. That satisfies an equation. But let's take this equation and let's maneuver it into slope-intercept form. Because we don't really ever end with point-slope form. We start there, but we end with slope-intercept form. So I'm going to take the left side and simplify this into y plus 4. I'm going to take the right side and distribute the -1/2, and I get this. I'm almost there. I just have to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get y is equal to -1/2 x, and I have 1/2 minus 4. Well, 1/2 minus 4 is 1/2 minus 8/2, which is -7/2. So that's going to go over here as -7/2, and now I have that in slope-intercept form. So I actually want you to kind of put a box around this whole example, because this is your first of several that you'll have in your lives of how to use point-slope form. The third form that we have is different than the rest of these two. You've seen it before. It's called standard form. And standard form is typically to get the x and the y on the same side, on the left side actually. I want to get the x and the y on the left side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation right here, copy it down again, and we're going to try to get that in standard form. So I'm going to get the x and the y on the left side. That's like the first step of standard form. So I'm going to add 1/2 x to both sides, and I get 1/2 x plus y is equal to -7/2. Then I'm going to clear the fractions. And in order to clear the fractions, I'm going to multiply the left and the right side of this by a 2. So that gives me x plus 2y is equal to -7. Finally, I'm going to make sure the first term, which means the x term, is positive, which it is here. So I'm done. That is actually standard form. And I want you to kind of take this down. That standard form is ax plus by equals c. And there are 3 conditions here. A, B, and C are lowest terms. They're integers. And A is positive. So what this means is for number 1, this kind of new example here, we're going to say I'm going to want the equation in slope-intercept form and standard form. So we're going to do double work here of a line that passes through 2, -7 with a slope of -2/5. So to do that, we're going to go back to point slope form. Remember, y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. And I get y minus -7 equals -2/5 x minus 2. Okay, just carefully substituting all that stuff in. So now if I simplify the left side, again I have a y plus 7. And on the right side I've got -2/5 x and plus 4/5. Now at this point it would make sense to clear fractions and multiply the left and the right side by a 5, except I wanted to have slope-intercept form. So that's not clear fractions yet. That's actually subtract a 7 because we want to get the y by itself. And I have y is equal to -2/5 x. If I want to do 4/5 minus 7, that's the same as 4/5 minus 35/5, and that's -31/5. So then minus 31/5. And that is slope-intercept form. Now to get that in standard form, I'm going to clear the fractions. So I'm going to multiply the left side by a 5, the right side by a 5, and that's what I get. Finally, if I add 2x to both sides, I get 2x plus 5y is equal to -31, and that is standard form. Okay? The top one is slope-intercept form because it is set equal to y, and the bottom one is standard form. Second example, I want you to state the slope and the coordinates of any point in y plus 6 is equal to 5/4 x minus 11 over 2. Well, this is just kind of reverse. This is like already a point slope form, so if I take that, I know that that is a slope. I know that that would be an x1. And if I make this, instead of a y plus 6, I make it a y minus a -6, and that point could be a y1. Because remember, point slope form had to be y minus, so I had to take the opposite sign of that. Then if I put it all together, I'm going to say slope is 5/4, and one possible x1, y1 point would be the point 11/2 and then -6. Okay, next one. Number 3. Given 2 points, 2, -1, and -5, 3. Find the equation of the line in standard form. Well, one thing a little tip I want to put here, we always, remember, like 96.7% of the time, start with standard form. We always start with standard form. So as a start, for step A, I'm actually going to find the slope, because I need to know point and slope. Or sorry, we start with standard form. I'm messing it up. We always start with point slope form. Please adjust that out and cut that out. So I need to find a slope. Here's my highlighted slope for point slope form. And to find a slope, I'm going to do the change in y over the change in x. -1 minus 3 over 2 minus a -5, which gives me -4 over 7. So there's a slope. Then I'm going to plug the slope and a point into point-slope form. So to do that, plug it into point-slope form. I'm going to remember what point-slope form is. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. So I'm going to go y minus, let's do the second point. Let's do the negative 5, 3. So y minus 3 equals negative 4/7, x minus a negative 5, or x plus 5. Now, if I'm taking it directly to standard form, I can actually multiply both the left and the right sides by a 7. But let's do that in the next step. Let's distribute this negative 4/7 just so I don't get confused about the distributive property. Some of you have been. And then I'm going to multiply the left and the right sides by a 7. So I have 7y minus 21 equals negative 4x minus 1, or minus 20. Then we're going to add 4x to both sides, so I can get the x's and y's on the same side. 4x plus 7y minus 21 is equal to negative 20. Add 21 to both, equal to negative 20. Add 21 to both sides, and I'm going to get 4x plus 7y is equal to 1. And that is a standard form because I have x and y on the same side. They're all integers, and we have no fractions, and the x is positive. So let's do another example of this kind of standard form thing. This is a very simple one. I just want you to convert to standard form. So if I gave you the example negative 1/2 x plus 1/3 y is equal to 7, what you could think about is we want to clear the fractions. So I'm going to multiply this left side and this right side by a 6, and I get negative 3x plus 2y is equal to 42. But standard form has to have positive for that one. So now I'm going to multiply the left and the right side by a negative 1 and just change all the signs. 3x minus 2y is equal to negative 42. Here's another example. 3x plus 6y is equal to 21. That is almost in standard form, except I have to get it into lowest terms. And this is not in lowest terms because I have 3, 6, and 21. And I could multiply the left side and the right side by a 1/3 and make that 1x plus 2y is equal to 7, or just divide both sides by 3. And that's a better standard form. We're done.